first of all, thank you to Rotarian District Governor Sridhar for supporting this program. My dear friends Chella and Vasanti for designing this program and putting it together as a showcase to people outside of Rotary. I myself would not tell even someone like Jacob what we do at Rotary as well as this program does. And the other way around, we bring a lot of people who need to be known in Rotary onto this platform. So thank you for providing the platform under a very apt name, Vidyarthi. It's the perfect name for learning. And today we are this whole month we are celebrating basic education and literacy, which is of course popularly called BEL. BEL is a acronym. And somebody told me the other day, I hate these 3-letter acronyms. So for that he said, I hate these TLAs. So I said, I haven't heard that before. What is a TLA? He said 3-letter acronym. So even for that, he had created an acronym, and that's the world we live in, right? We condition ourselves to what is happening around us, whether we like it or not, we adapt to changes around us. Quizzing is probably the best way to teach people new things. And that is why we chose to speak about it, and I'm very happy that you gave us the platform. Now, basic education and literacy reminds me of a joke from way back in my childhood when we used to laugh about this joke about a maidservant who came home and started working, and then lady of the house was so upset with her, and she said, look at the dust on that table. I can write my name on it. And the lady said, madam, you don't have to make fun of me because I don't know to read and write. Just because you know how to read and write, you don't have to rub it in. So I think all of us really don't understand. Of course, the joke was, that her job was so sloppy that she wasn't writing properly. But she chose the victim stance that most people take, that, I didn't get basic education and literacy. So obviously, this is where we need to work hard as a society, especially in Rotary. We do a lot of these programs. And I think one of the basic tools for teaching and learning and development is quizzing. Somehow it's been underrated. I was lucky that I got into it when I was very young through college, and was able to get some exposure, having maybe around 170 public programs on Doordarshan, on Raj TV, and later on Amrita. So quite a few channels which ran my quiz program. So I'm grateful that many people in Rotary have followed some of that. Jayakar himself is an avid quizzer, designs it. He worked with Arun Swami on the famous Tamil version of Kaun Banega Crorepati, and he will share some of his experiences there. So we thought this was a great idea, that why don't we even start quizzing at home to increase the thirst for knowledge in children, because it comes from curiosity. All of us are born curious, but we change because of the conditions around us. When people don't encourage us to keep asking, we stop asking. And I think the word ASK is very, very important. If you learn to ask, you can change 3 things in your life. A, attitude; S, skill; and K, knowledge. All 3 can change only by asking. So if you keep asking, you can change your life. And that is why quizzing is so important. How many of you remember those wonderful days of quizzing? Quiz Time by Siddharth Basu was phenomenal. It was iconic. Many of us remember the O'Briens. Always Jayakar remembers the father, Neil O'Brien. Most of us remember the sons, Derek and his brother, and Andy, I think. Both of them were famous quizzers. And we can't forget Siddharth Basu, of course. I remember Narottam Puri, right, who used to run a quiz, very popular quiz on Doordarshan called Open House, which was a different format. Anyone in the crowd could answer and they got a prize. And there was, of course, Deepak Vora, phenomenal quizzer who went on to be an IAS officer. Sabira Merchant, who used to run a very popular program on Doordarshan called What's the Good Word? Many of you would remember that. So there were quite a few names. Later, of course, Amitabh Bachchan became the very synonym for quizzing through Kaun Banega, which turned his life around completely. When he was in deep trouble financially, Kaun Banega really turned his life around. And he became the most iconic known face in quizzing. Then other versions, Shah Rukh Khan tried it, Salman Khan tried it, I think. Down south, Arun Swami tried it, Mukesh in Malayalam, someone else in Kannada, I think. Telugu has its own version. So we have seen so many versions of quizzing. But I don't think it is the presenter or the format. It is the thirst that we have, right? It's not the idlis that make you eat. It's the hunger that makes you eat. Similarly, we are all thirsty about learning new things, and quizzing is very, very dynamic. In fact, we created the feel of that even in the poster that we are showing you. We are showing you the dynamic platform, literally, of quizzing. We have to create an aura and an atmosphere. But actually, quizzing happens every day, right? For example, today, if I ask you a question, and please make a note, my question starts now. Today, can any one of you tell me when Hindi Divas is celebrated in India? Hindi Divas.
I think it's today.
It is today, right? And sometimes Jaikar likes to play this game where the answer is in the question itself. It's hidden in the question. So you say, today, can you give me this answer? And then you just start thinking. And then if you're smart, something in your mind triggers off the answer and say, oh yeah, this is today, isn't it? So, sometimes the age-old joke from the film Sholay, Tera naam kya hai, Basanti. All of us know that iconic dialogue, right? Where the answer is very clear to the person asking the question. Tera naam kya hai, Basanti. So very often the most obvious things are couched in a way that people will appreciate the way the question is framed. So it's all about how you frame the question. But the most basic thing is accuracy, brevity, and clarity. If your question passes these three filters, then it is worth asking as a quiz question. So if I ask somebody, what's my name, right? Or what's my neighbor's name? It should be something that all of us can answer accurately, briefly, and clearly. Otherwise, people lose interest. So how do you engage people? Just remember the ABC, which is be accurate, be brief, and be clear. If the answer doesn't fit into that, don't ask the question because it gets you into deep trouble. Next slide, please. So avoid VUCA. No, one slide back. I think we should go back one more slide. Yeah, avoid the VUCA factors in starting or setting quiz questions. Don't ask volatile questions, right? Which can be disputed, debated, right? Who's the greatest tennis player of all time? You can get into serious stuff, right? Because I know for me it is Rafael Nadal. Maybe I'm a good, Nadal fan and I ask you and then get into trouble over a debate. So the question doesn't come up at all. Volatile questions, uncertain question, if there's an element of uncertainty, avoid it. Complexity, asking a question where you say, who's the third man who on his fourth attempt took the sixth, trip to Mount Everest, you're in trouble because you're creating complexity. And ambiguity, any question that can have two answers doesn't pass at all. Next one, please. Yeah, and I think the last slide will tell you exactly where our conversation starts. So mainly, Jaikar and I believe quizzing is infotainment. It is informative entertainment. You must be entertaining if you want to engage somebody's mind. But if you can pack information into it, then you're a good quizzer. If you talk about the recipe and you say, now tell me what is that one little ingredient that I've left out, and you read out the recipe. If somebody is able to pick it up and say, yeah, you left out salt, then you have created entertainment as well as information. So the quizmaster should be engaging and assertive. So what does that mean? Don't defend while listening. So if somebody gives you an answer and I start defending it by saying, no, that's not what I meant. Several times in quiz, it happens that we're shooting a particular episode and somebody asks you, but I think that's a wrong answer. And the camera just keeps rolling because I keep listening. And at the end, I tell them, cut, and then I correct them, and then we reshoot that loop because the person answering it might be in a very agitated state of mind. But I can't afford to be that when I'm a quiz master. So don't defend while listening and don't offend while speaking. So, in Kerala, when I was doing this, there was a smart girl from St. Teresa's College. in Cochin. And, so when she didn't answer, I said, so what's the answer? She said, I don't want to pass, but I think this is the answer. So I said, well, and it turned out to be the right answer. And she got bonus marks for that. So I said, what made you take that guess? She said, well, sir, in Malayalam, in our college, we say KKPP. So I said, what is that? He said, Kitya Kitti Poya Poi. That means if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you lose it. That's it. So it's a very simple way of handling a crisis when you're answering. We're done with the quizzing part of it. Now we're getting into, a conversation with my friend Jayakar. So Jayakar, what do you think makes a good quizzing format for, say, I think you've done even parties, you've done sangeets, you've done all kinds of, innovation in quizzing. So what is the main thing that you take from one place to another which makes it interesting? What is that one little factor?
First thing with doing quizzing is you should know who the audience is.
You'll have to be a little louder, Jayakar. I think people are straining and moving forward. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Little more, I think. You will
is it better now? Is it better now? Okay.
Oh, yes. Cool. Much better.
All right. So basically, when you talk about quizzing, the first thing as a quiz master or somebody who has to set a content for a quiz is that you have to know who our participants are or whom we are asking a question. That's the first.
That's the most
important thing you need to know. It doesn't matter how intellectually good they are or how good they are in trivia or whatever, right? So it is basically that it doesn't matter what it is about, right?
Yeah.
And quiz can be about anything, right? So you give me a topic, you give me 10 minutes, I'll give you 5 questions at least. Right? As a quiz master or somebody who sets content for a quiz, I need to know quite a bit and I need to be very sure about what I give as an answer for a question or the other way around. The trick is basically you have an answer and then you set a question.
In fact, there is a very popular
question.
Yeah, sorry, Jayakar, there is a popular show, isn't it, where you get the answer and you have to frame the question?
Yeah, there was one, but it did not actually.
It was Jeopardy or something like that.
Yeah, it's very clear, close to Jeopardy, right? So basically, what here happens is that for me, whatever I look around is a quiz question, right? So I just walk on the street, I buy a milk, and then I say, right, which color milk packet would have 3.5% fat?
Yeah.
Everybody buys milk.
Yeah. You can break down anything into a quiz question.
So it can be a simple question. That is something which we expect every housewife to ideally know. Most men, after the lockdown, have slowly started to learn how to boil the milk. But generally, it is the women of the house would love to have a question like that. But when you ask it, it becomes so embarrassing that most of us don't even know what is printed on it. They just say, go buy blue milk, green milk,
obvious,
magenta, orange, whatever color. Yeah. So basically, there are a lot of things which is around us, which can be a good question. Right? So it's
about being a good observer, isn't it? Many people don't observe. Right. They see the same packet every day, but they really don't look at the packet. Because they see it every day, they don't even look at the color. They just open it mindlessly. So if you're a mindful person, you can become a good, sharp, observing quizzer.
There are 2-3 things which you need to know. One, whenever you're setting a question, the first thing which I learned when I did KBC for the Ningalam Vellala Morukodi season 3 was when I worked with Siddharth Basu on the content side. Right? Was that the first thing he told me, right? He and Bhaskar Dev, who was his assistant, first thing they told me is every question has to have 2 valid reference. It can't be anything from Google or Wikipedia because these are edited by anybody, right? And anything from a government site should be a screenshot from the day and time has to be there as a copy. Okay, these are 2 things which was very, very important, which I learned, right?
Yeah.
And framing a question is basically on depending on the audience, right? So see, when I talk about the Korukodi, the reason why I'm talking about it here is I'm starting with it is, see, there can be a question which can be a question number 1, which is the most easiest question you always can ask, and it can be a question 5, question 6, which can be a little tougher one. It can be anything above 8.
Yeah.
All right. The answer can be the same, but the way the question is drafted and the options given can make it easy to hard.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something which you need to know. And when you're talking about ambiguity, right? So this was something which came to my mind when you're talking about ambiguity, right?
Yeah.
So there is this funny question which, when I was quite young, right, I asked a small kid, how many sides does a circle have? Can anybody tell me what the kid would have answered? I asked what, a 7-8-year-old kid, how many sides does a circle have? Does anybody want to guess? You can unmute and guess. Nobody wants to guess?
I see 2 sides, outside and inside.
That's right. That's what the kid told me, right? And I was stunned.
It was like,
As many sides there?
2 sides are there. One is inside, the other is outside.
Inside and outside.
Okay, so it can never be a quiz question, right? You are walking into ambiguity, right? So when I said this question in Orukodi, he said, how many corners does a circle have? Or which geometric this thing doesn't have a corner? Okay, so that can be a question. That can be a right question. But you can never ask how many sides does a circle have, because that would ideally get you into trouble.
Yeah.
So this is something which you learn as you go along, right? And so when we're talking about different kinds of quizzes, right? So now we have more common. We are seeing this KBC for a long time. So that's one version of it. Then there is this open quiz which keeps happening, right?
Yeah.
And some are clearly open, and there are some which are based on topics. So there is this Madras Day when the Madras August 22nd comes, the whole week or a whole 15 days.
Now, almost a month.
So there is this whole activity happening, so much quiz happening. It becomes so tough for somebody who sets the last quiz, right?
Yeah.
You have to make sure that there is no question which you have already put. See, the setting of questions happen 2 months or a month before the whole event happens. But you have to make sure that you watch all the quizzes or make sure that what are the questions are. So you don't want the same question to be repeated. It is just that.
And I want to take you away from what you're saying now to very simple, basic teaching of children at home. For example, I had a friend in Hyderabad who used to teach his child by saying A, B, C, D, and this is what comes after A, right? And suddenly the child had to choose between B, C, and D, right? And then if she says B, she says, no, think again, tell me what comes after A. So that became such an engaging conversation that every time it became a pattern of learning for the child, that if you ask what is next, and maybe that's how they develop their cognitive skills. But I think, like you said, even Sangeet and all kinds of, I know that you did it for a common friend of ours, her daughter's wedding, you did it during the Sangeet. So there, see, audience, like Vasanthi said, people don't like to be tested too much. So they like to be a passive audience, passive listening. You like to learn something, but not be put under the pump, right? Quizzers are active listeners because they listen and answer, and they don't mind if they're wrong. They don't mind if people laugh at them, because for them, the knowledge content that they pick up is more important. So what are some of your experiences there?
Okay, so the most funny things have happened, right? So the quizzes are a kind of, so I have done quizzes for children's club, for some summer camps for kids, based on subjects. So one day they would want geography, one day they would want history, they would be different topics. So they'll say, I have 15 days of camp, and every day I want to ask 5 questions, and I want to give a homework of 10 questions, something like that, right? Get them thinking. So it would be about anything, right? So that's one, all right?
Yeah.
And then the other one is the general quiz which happens. There is this lot of fun frolic which is happening nowadays, where when there is a large family gathering. Those days we used to go to uncle's house, auntie's house, and keep meeting them.
Yeah.
Today it's with all these WhatsApp,
common clubs and common.
It's all social media and other stuff, or on the phone, video calls.
Sure.
We don't actually see people and have those funny times which we ideally had when we were right in front of each other. So now, you have a lot of family gatherings happening, all these Sashtapdaputis and a lot of functions which keep happening. And people now want some kind of an activity in between to keep everybody glued to something. So
involved and entertained.
Yeah. So then you need to have something to do with a day-to-day kind of stuff. So at least in Chennai, I would say, people like the 2 C's more. One is cinema. The other is, or 3 C's, cinema, chai or coffee, or cricket, right? So these are the 3 famous topics. Here you can just answer anything. People don't feel inhibited saying that I don't know, or they will just guess.
We will
When you
try.
ask them something which is something little more closer to them, they would never want to open their mouth. They feel that they show their, that they don't know anything. Right? They feel that they don't want to be let people know that they didn't know. Right? It is not. You ask a question. You go to any open quiz. Right? The first thing which a quizzer would do is, if he starts with basically, it means that he doesn't know the answer.
Yeah.
He says basically the funda is, then you surely know he's going to tell you a story.
Basically means he's out
Basically
of line.
means I don't know the answer. Right? Basically the funda means I'm going to tell you a story. You have to listen to the whole story. Somewhere down in the whole way of giving the story, I will have 3 things which the quizmaster is wanting me as an answer.
Yeah.
Okay. As a quizmaster, you should be very receptive to it.
Very calm
And
receptive.
how you listen to the story makes the next team start to guess, oh, this is to be the topic of this thing, right? And halfway through, you should say, nobody seems to be close. And then the next
and
team
they'll
will
go
start
round
to-
and round different trees.
Yeah. So, as a quizmaster, I would like to listen to the more stories than somebody cracking it in the first attempt, kind of. No? So the questions have to be very interesting. See, the point is quizzing as such, right? So the word quizzing ideally, basically meant that a geek kind of what you call as geek today in the local the youth parlance is what originally it meant.
No.
At some point in time, there is this beautiful legend which says somebody in Ireland took a bet that in 24 hours he'll coin a new word which becomes part of the language. And apparently he asked some street urchins to write quiz on all the walls everywhere overnight. So everybody saw next day morning on the road, the word quiz was there everywhere, and it became so popular that people started to ask, what is it? So what is it became a quiz. That was the word. The meaning came because people asked, what is it?
What is it? And therefore the word
legend.
quiz means what is it?
Yeah, so that's basically a legend. Nobody knows that whether it's true or false. As a quizzer, we will take that story because we like it. Okay.
Fantastic.
So there are a lot of funny questions you can ask, correct? Something which can be very, very interesting, which can give you 100 answers, right?
Yeah.
Unless you know or you have heard this question before, you would only guess.
I want you to talk about your favorite question about the part of the body. So go ahead.
So there are 2 things here, right? There are 2 favorite questions of mine, all right?
Yeah.
One with usual elders, right? And anybody a coffee lover. We all know what a filter coffee is, right? We all have filter coffee. It's Kumbakonam or Madras or whatever. There's this degree coffee which is there. Does anybody know why it's called a degree coffee?
Want to unmute and try?
Somebody can unmute and try. You can all try. I would ideally want everybody to try. Even if you give a right answer, I will wait until I hear at least 10 different versions.
It depends on the Ramnath here. It depends on the temperature of the coffee.
Okay, good. So somebody else?
Good try. Ramnath, good try. Someone else? Would someone else want to try? Come
all
on,
coffee lovers
every
should
day
say.
you drink it. No.
Can somebody, if nobody else is answering, I'm trying another one. Is it anything to do with some university graduate starting at Kumbakonam?
Very good. That's the latest interesting one I've heard.
That's a very original, very good.
I've had more than 100 different versions of it.
That's like trivia.
This is the 101st. Okay, so somebody else? Don't just guessing, right? So it's fun.
I am Dr. Ramesh from Hyderabad.
Yeah.
It can be a combination of decoction, milk and sugar.
Very good. Very interesting. Yes.
Okay. Sir, it is from Degree Milk.
Very good. Who was that?
I'm Dr. Chitra from Ramachandra.
Okay. So Dr. Chitra gets it absolutely right. Okay. Those days, the milk which was procured for coffee went through a lactometer. Okay. So they checked the specific gravity on the lactometer. And for all common man, when you check something with a meter, it is only thermometer and temperature and degree. Okay.
Degree.
So for somebody who milk which was tested for specific gravity for the purity of milk, they put it through a lactometer to check the specific gravity, and that milk was ideally taken to make this coffee, which had its own taste and thickness and whatever, right? So So the milk was tested for its degree. Okay, so even though the lactometer does not go by degree, but people felt that degree was
at least, I'm sure that is how people
and hence
talked
why
about
it is called degree, right? I will tell
Degree
you when I
part.
asked this in an open quiz, right? So somebody was basically saying the degree at which when they coffee when you mix the coffee with the tumbler and the davara, it was an angle at which you did it to get that foam, because of which it was degree coffee. No, people came with wonderful different answers, which basically would, and the audience would love it, right? Because they are hearing new stories, and everybody has a story, but nobody wants to say because they're so afraid that they might
fear
be
of ridicule. Fear of ridicule.
It's nothing, right? You're here to learn, right? I basically said 5 to 10 questions every day. And there are at least 3 new topics which I learn every day. And I'm happy that I learned something new. Okay. So what did I learn today is very, very, very important as we go along, because it is fun, right? So the other one, when I play with kids.
Jacob, I want to add something. I was talking to young people in a scholarship program, and I was telling them, they were in Tamil background. So I told them, just remember this, right? IEK. 7 months later, when I met that batch, that one of the girls said, this is what I took away from your program 7 months ago. IEK. Every morning I tell myself, IEK, and evening I repeat IEK to know what did I learn new. And I think what you're saying is more applicable to many people our age, because if you want to stay young, if you want to stay mentally alert, you have to be learning through quizzing. As you get older, you should test yourself with these questions. Who is the president of Ecuador now? Just because I read it in today's Hindu, I should be able to test myself 2 days later and say, who is the new chairman of Indian Bank or ICICI Bank? If I keep doing this on a daily basis, I stay very, very, agile mentally. I think that's a very big clue that you gave us. Yep.
And the other thing is that, that there is this beautiful play with words, right? So I do with a lot of kids and kids at heart, right? And not only kids, but kids at heart, right? So I do a lot of these word-related quizzes.
Wordplay.
It can be homonym, homophones, anything to do that. Get them to understand that you have a language where the pun is more interesting than the fun, right? So
fun is more
something like this.
Than the fun. Good one. Yeah.
So basically, I would ideally ask, right, which part of the human body is also a name of a tree? This is where I usually start. There are some. Go ahead.
Somebody please shoot an answer.
I heard the answer somewhere.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, she muted or he muted.
Palm.
It is the palm. Right?
Yep.
It's a name of a tree. The palm is a name of a tree. Trunk is part of a tree.
Palm. I lost the connectivity. Palm.
Okay. So the palm is a part of a body which is also name of a tree, right? You can have 100 questions like this, right? I presume most of you are from Chennai, right? So I asked this in last year's Madras quiz for the inner wheel, kind of. So what English term would you associate with the pin code of Greaves Road? Okay, so this was a question which was asked. I'm just repeating the question because we are into the English and the fun part of it. What English term?
006.
Yeah, so the English term would you associate with the pin code of Greaves Road?
Palindrome.
It's a palindrome.
Palindrome.
It is a palindrome. So
Palindrome.
That's right. So what I did was I didn't put Greaves Road. I put Apollo Hospital photo there. And I asked them what English term would the pin code of this ideally would be, right? So, see, basically this is how you start to think. See, the questions does not originate from anywhere. The question comes only from an answer. So I have an answer and I find a way to frame a question, and it can be about anything, right? You say, I want Ramayana, I can give you 10 questions offhand right away.
You reminded me that Indian wisdom tradition is steeped in quizzing, right? The Upanishads, the famous dialogue between Nachiketas and Lord Yama is based on questions that he asked. Krishna's dialogue, the Bhagavad Gita, is based on questions that Arjuna kept asking.
That's right.
So I think quizzing is all about a tradition of learning I think it should be more popular in India than it is all over the world because of our tradition.
And the other thing I would like to add right here is this, right? We are talking about all the old quiz shows when we started off, right? There was this interesting episode of Mastermind Final, which happened, I think, in the mid 70s, I think 74, 75 or 76.
For those who don't know, while you get to the episode, Mastermind was an iconic show on BBC, I think, where you have two streams. Every participant sat on two streams. One is a general question and one is a subject of your choice. Go ahead.
So there was this great gentleman who chose mythology as his favorite subject. So he was asked question on Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology, Roman, and he was answering everything. And then there was this interesting question out there, which is, who is the mother of Rama? Apparently he did not know. He gave a wrong answer. And then there was somebody who was watching it who was too stunned to see an Indian show happening, a final where somebody picks up mythology and doesn't even know who is the mother of Rama. Did you know what happened after that?
Yeah. What?
That is the question. So the point is that fellow did not know the name of Rama is different. Okay? But the question for you guys is, what do you think happened because of that?
Yeah. What iconic fallout of that happened in history? Can anyone answer?
Ramanan Sagar's Ramayana?
No. It was much before that.
You must have lost all big fortune.
That's a different story.
Amar Chitrakatha?
Yes, Anand Pai was felt so that people did not know Indian mythology. So he started, making the Amar Chitrakathas.
Anand Pai or Uncle Pai as he's called.
Uncle Pai as he's called. So he started the Amar Chitrakatha. That's where the whole thing started off, right? That was his trigger point. So he was stunned to see that people did not know. I apparently asked in a student's quiz this question. What happened after that? But the point had the second half, which is you have to answer who is the mother of Rama. Then only you get a point, 2 points. If you get Anand Pai, Amar Chitrakatha, you don't get any point. But you have to find who is the mother of Rama. And then only you get full points. Don't have part points on that question. You wouldn't believe, of the 640 teams which participated, 130 got it wrong. I heard Kunti, I heard a lot of names, right? So, and I was stunned. Okay, so even after Amar Chitrakatha and Anand Pai, he still not fully succeeded, and that too in a quiz when people were answering real obscene questions. Kind of, they were answering real tough ones. But the point is, people generally take something so light that we miss it out sometimes.
No, but also, Jayakar, I think it is the state of mind. When you're agitated, right? The same calm mind after the quiz. Like, I think it's pretty much like the exam. In school, we used to joke that exams are a place where idiots ask questions which even wise people like us can't answer. That was a good joke when you were a poor student, right? But I think quizzes are like that. They always blame the quiz master, saying that you asked a very difficult question. So I think the challenge is the degree of difficulty.
See, the point is, it is not. See, the point is, I look at it from a different person. I learned the way of setting questions from a lot of the greats from the Chennai, right? Dr. Naveen Jaikumar for one, right? He's been a great inspiration for a lot of my generation. People who have started to set questions much later. The meaning is not with the age, but with the experience of starting to do something, right? His questions would be a beautiful story where there are enough hints in the question, but you have to work it out to know what the answer is. You have to have some little knowledge, but a lot of a typical quizzers thing of knowing how to guess, right?
Correct.
Guessing is where everything was there.
It's more intuition, isn't it? It's more intuition
right.
than
instinct. The question should have something which will make you go towards the answer, right? That's how a tougher question should always have hints. Easier questions doesn't mind, right? But the tougher questions should always have enough hint so that people can work the whole thing out, right? I will give you a nice example of it, right? This is from the Ramayana again, right? Sorry for going back to Ramayana. I can go to Mahabharata if you want. But I will do one more in Ramayana, all right? So this is what happened. Rama and Lakshmana, when they were young, the guru was Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra used to teach, and then there is this huge issue with Tadaga, the demoness, creating havoc. So Vishwamitra took Rama and Lakshmana along the way to kill Tadaga. So So on the way, they used to go through the Sarayu River looking for Tadagai, and most days they would make a tent and stay overnight. And then next morning they would wake up and keep going to the journey until the mission was accomplished. So the question here is, what did Vishwamitra do to wake up Rama every morning?
Sir, Ramnath here.
Yes.
Ramnath.
Kausalya Supraja Rama Surya Vindhya Pravartate Uttishta Narashardula Kartavya Daivamannikam.
Absolutely right. So this is what we hear every day, MS Subbulakshmi waking not only the Lord but also us. But the point is, the whole meaning of it is Kausalya Supraja Rama, Kausalya's eldest son Rama, wake up, the sun has come, you have your duties to perform, please wake up and let's do our duty. That's basically what it ideally means, right? So the whole thing is that it's come from a lot of things which is used somewhere for something else.
It comes from knowing something.
We haven't questioned why it is being there or what it ideally means. We just heard it, that it is what is used to wake up the Lord, right? It was actually the Lord on the land who was woken up with it, which is now continued with the tradition, like whatever. So the point is, this is how you set questions. So you have an answer, you have something, you learn something, and then you start making questions out of it. So this can be like, you can play the Kausalya Supraja Rama and say who used it to wake up who, right? Or the question can be anything, right? The point is, I have a subject, I make a question out of it. The same thing can happen with your subjects. Every subject can be made interesting to kids if you can give a connect to it and keep asking a question, right? A question should not be a direct, like what is force, what is inertia. Okay.
Correct.
So I will give you another example for it, right? I was making these questions for the Ningalam Vellalam Urukodi, and I had a lot of questions which were typically like, which letter of the English alphabet you will not see in the periodic table. Right? So,
the periodic table.
Yeah, Mendeleev's periodic table. That was a question. Yeah. And the channel guy was so upset. He said, you can't ask book questions. No, that's not fun, right? People don't want anything from a textbook. People want to come out of study and look something. So I gave him a lot of questions which he was rejecting. I was little agitated kind of. So I just sat for a few minutes, and then I cut down a small Tamil song. Right? There is a beautiful song in which it says, Tamarai ilai mele neer tuli pani pole Poomagal madi meedu naan thungavo. That's a beautiful song. So I just cut that whole bit and I put that whole song. So he said, what is the question? So what makes the water? What physical principle, scientific principle does it say that water is standing on the lotus leaf? He looked at me. He said, this is science. I said, no. This is basically a movie question, but I am relating it to something. Okay. So he said, this is too tough. People will not know specific gravity. So let's get into something else. So the point is, you can teach kids a lot of things.
Through entertainment.
With entertainment.
Connecting it to a...
Absolutely, right? I will give you another one, beautiful one, right? So I am talking about science. So I'm going to talk about economics now, right? So there is this old movie with N.S. Krishnan where he works and gets his salary for the day, a 10 rupee note. He comes home and finds that it is a counterfeit note. That's his earning for the whole day. He doesn't want to lose it because it's counterfeit. So he thinks for some time. What he does is next morning, early morning, he goes around 6:30 when a restaurant opens, when the guy is doing the puja. He's the first customer who walks in. He says, I want idli, vada and some coffee. And the bill comes to some 1 rupee or something. So he gives a 10 rupee note. The guy the cashier, the owner of this thing looks at the note. He knows it's counterfeit. But so he asked him, do you have anything else? He said, I don't have anything. This is what I earned yesterday. I'm going to work today. There is nobody at home, so I came to eat. I don't have any other money. So this guy doesn't want to give the first business on debt. He knows that this fellow doesn't have any money. So he takes the 10 rupee note, gives him the change. But now he started to think. So the guy who delivers milk comes in, the milkman comes in. He gives that 10 rupees to that milkman. The milkman takes it, knows that it's a fake note, but he can't ask the owner because he might lose his business. He gives it to the guy who gives him all these feeds for the cow. That fellow gives to somebody, and the end of the day, he gets the same 10 rupee back. So the question here is, what economic principle did the 10 rupee note do that day? This is a question. This can be an educative question to any kid on 8th standard, 10th standard, or 11th standard when the economics ideally starts. Can be a beautiful thing. You can just show this whole thing
and then build it around
concept.
Yeah.
Most of you know it is the velocity of money. The money, a 10 rupee note, went through 10 hands. So the value of that money is 100 rupee because it served 10 people 10 rupees. Even though it is a fake note and comes back to him, but by the time the 10 rupee comes back to him as a 10 rupee, it is served X amount of people. So this is called velocity of money. This is what you learn in your economics. But if I give you that whole explanation of what a velocity of money is, after 3 days, you don't remember it. But if you give it in a sense where there is a nice comedy which happens in a movie, but if you're relating it to a velocity of money, then even after 40 years, you will still remember what a velocity of money is.
And that is why it is infotainment. No? It is information but entertainment, because they remember the entertainment and therefore they link it to the information they got.
So everything you learn, everything you want to teach a kid can be through all of this. You want to teach them different words, vocabularies. Right? You can use the homonyms, homophones. Right? There are thousands of them. Right? And then there are answers which are same, like name of a bird, which is also name of a bird. Name of a bird, which is also name of a country.
Country.
Okay. So that can be a good question to any kid. Even elders sometimes struggle to find turkey out of it. Right? They will keep staring. They'll say, "Oh my God, I don't know." Then you will have to say Thanksgiving. At least you remember Thanksgiving. You know the then you give it.
Christmas and then
you have to give a hint which is related to it. The kids would be more fast to know Thanksgiving means turkey than a 60-year-old Indian who's not been outside India to ideally know what does Thanksgiving got to do with a bird and whatever. Right. So the point is, everything you want to teach can be through a question and an answer and something to connect. The connect part is the most important thing which will make you remember an answer or a topic for a long time. That's most important, right? So this is very, very important. So this, if you can connect a lot of things, you see a lot of things around you. All of them are connected in some way or the other to something. But if you can figure out...
I want to step in because we now need to close in a few minutes. So I thought even incentivizing answer, like giving a few marks to children in your house, saying that if you answer this question, you'll get 5 points, right? Then based on the same subject, if you answer the next one, you will get 10. And let's see how many of you make 25 and how many will go, what we call deep dive in quizzing. The deeper you go, the more marks you get. Then you really create interest among children in the house to get more marks. So you can even make it incentivized, result oriented, and maybe at the end give a 5-star chocolate to the child who gets the maximum point. It's possible to actually endlessly use quizzing even as a tool for learning at home.
If there are more than one kid, don't give just one to one kid. I would ideally say that everybody gets an ice cream. The guy who got more points get 2 scoops.
Correct.
You get 1 scoop extra.
Correct. You incentivize
everybody gets it, right? Not that
learning is incentivized, not just winning.
That's right. No, so
I
always make it that everybody gets it.
Winning or losing, it is about learning. If you learn something new, then you feel very value added as a quizzer.
So I have a lot of I'm a full-time chess trainer. I take chess classes for kids globally. Right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of parents with all these lockdowns don't know what to do. They've been saying how to keep my kid active. What should I do? So I always tell them, right, get them a good dictionary. Right, this is usually what I start with. Right, get them a good dictionary, and ask them to find the first 2 names of animals or first 3 names of animals which starts with the letter A. Okay.
Yeah.
And the point is you can be 2, 3, 4 or 5. 2 would be easy. 3, 4, 5 would be a little harder.
Yeah.
Right? To basically find out what is the first 5 you will ideally see in a good dictionary. Don't get this pocket dictionary or a too small, concise dictionary. Get them a decent, good dictionary with a lot of words, a little bigger one. And ask them to go through it. And at the end of it, after they found the first 5, ask them to write it down. And then following up with what are the words which they saw, which was an interest to them. This is something you can do with every kid. Okay. For all of you who don't know, the first 2 animal names which comes in a dictionary are, Keshav, what are the 2?
One, I'll tell you straight away because we have shared it together. But it's the AA word.
That's right. Yeah. So it's the aardvark and the aardwolf. These are the first 2 we'll find. Both of them with AA. But the point is, most of us in India, most kids don't know what an aardvark is or what an aardwolf is or how they look at it. Right? So the point is you basically get them into it and start using it. Right? And the point the next part is the most important. Finding the answer is is just a
It's
thing to
incidental.
basically.
It's incidental.
Yeah, so incidental. The most important thing is they start writing about words which they went through when they started from A to find their fourth or fifth animal. There would be 3 or 4 words which were interest to them. Each kid has a different interest.
Yeah.
They would come up with those words and what the meaning is. But after 10 or 15 days, as a parent or a guide or a mentor or whatever, if you can look at those words, it will give you a hint on what are the things the kid actually likes, either consciously or subconsciously. There would be a connect
It
on
reveals the
something
attitude of the
which is making the kid like that word or like what it means or what it does or whatever. This will ideally give you a hint on what you can basically train the kid or
the potential
where the potential ideally lies. This is something which you can ideally do. It's very simple exercise. So you can just ask them from find 6 shades of blue and find out why it is named so. So kid would ideally, so you can have the MS blue, you can have the Eisenhower blue,
turquoise,
you can have turquoise, you can have navy blue, you can have sky blue, you can have all those blues. But the point is, you basically tell them all of that and find it why it is named so. So the etymology part comes in. So they have to know why it is named so, what made it.
And I think you should take them from the most basic things like food they like to very, it's a question of lifting them up to the point where they really enjoy it. And when you lose it, then you allow them to go back because they may not like
so
everything.
I do a lot on etymology.
Yeah.
Names of animals, collective names of animals, right? Yeah. Does you know what is a collective name for owls?
School.
No, school is fish.
No, I know. School. No.
Pack of wolves.
Pack? No. Owl is a very, very unusual.
Not flock.
It's called a parliament of owls.
Parliament of owls. Yeah, now
it's called a murder of crows.
Now
it's
you
called
know why
murder of
crows. So they look like owls. Yeah, that's
okay.
Good.
So
Parliament of owls.
Okay. It's called Parliament of owls, right? So it's called murder of crows. Right? So these are beautiful.
Murder of crows. Yeah. Correct. How many people know
collective nouns are beautiful, right? It's called a hand of banana, right? The bunch. It's not called a bunch of banana. It's called the hand of banana. And each of those bananas in the hand is called the finger of banana. So each banana in that is called the finger of banana.
Can you imagine how fascinating this is?
So these are beautiful things which you should ideally get kids interested when they are quite young, so that they slowly start getting into knowing a lot of things. And always I would say, have enough material at home. When a kids ask a question, basically go take a book, refer, read it out and explain when they are young.
And Jayakar, for that we have to be young and kids ourselves, because when we were young and when we were kids, we were curious, we were full of wonderment. Somewhere, I think if we lose our way, we get old. Like they say, you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing.
That's
so
right.
quizzing is like a play. Right? You have to enjoy it. You have to engage people. It's an attitude. I think it's not just an activity. It is an
absolutely
attitude.
Right. Example.
You have to be young enough. You have to guide and lead by example. So I hope we've reached out with our message to all of you. Chella, I know our time is running out, but Jayakar and I, we are so passionate, we can go on all night. So I think this is the best time to close it. But I want to thank the audience because they've been so patient. I mean, they've been watching the numbers. They've been there throughout, and it's been wonderful to have each one of you joined and connected by this passion of ours called quizzing. So I do hope that basic education and literacy gets a fill-up from everyone by using quizzing as a tool. And it's something that all of us can do without any investment. You don't need to buy a thing. You have it in your head, you just have to share it. It's an attitude. Jayakar, if you want to say one last line.
So I would ideally say that it's not too late to start quizzing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have an inhibition to say, I don't know. Nobody knows everything. You ask me, I've done a few hundred quizzes. I have a content of some 15,000 questions in my database. But you ask me, I know everything? No, I don't. I learn every 3 new things every day, which means it's an ocean, like what the Avaya said. Katradhu kaimanalavu kallaladu. So basically, it's just a grain of whatever knowledge which you can acquire in your lifetime, kind of. So we are always seekers. As an Indians, as a traditional, we are always seekers. We always seek. We always question. And I presume I would ideally want everybody to keep doing it. and there is no age to it, and there is nothing. We can start any day, right? If you want any help or anything, you can reach me through.
Reach out to us. We are most
reach out to
open
us
to help
through,
out.
whatever, Keshav, and we will surely be happy to tell you and guide you, and would like to be a part of a journey which we can make it big. I have one last thing which we started, which I wanted to end. Just give me a minute. I've told you I've done quizzes for different kind. The one which stood out for me was I did one for a wedding Sangeet, right? Because this was a wedding which was in Baroda for somebody who had this whole issue of too many senior citizens who did not like loud music. So they said, you do something different. I don't want loud music with all these stuff. So he asked me. So I basically made a quiz with the movie songs, basically with the interlude or some music where you're supposed to identify the song or the movie. And then somebody has to sing. If the guy sings, allow him to sing properly. Or if he doesn't, then you play the music and people dance. So this was what it started off. But to make it more interesting, what I did was I took a pack of cards, put it separated by the suit, and asked people above 45 from the bride side, from the groom side, below 45 from the bride side, groom side, friends again. So my team of 6 or 7 would ideally be where it is a mixture of people from the both sides. So they get introduced to themselves during the Sangeet, know better what they are doing, who they are, kind of where they live, and then the quiz was ideally there. No, I wasn't there personally there, but I created the whole content, had somebody do the whole thing on how I wanted it to be done. It apparently I had just 40 questions for 2.5 hours, but it apparently went for more than 4 hours, late into the night, and they were all very happy with what happened. But the best part was that after 7 months, I get a call from Bangalore saying, I am getting married. I want you to do a Sangeet quiz like you did in the Baroda one. I said, okay, good. So you were there. So I said, no, it is not that I was there. I'm 31 now. I've been looking for a bride for the last 5 years. I couldn't find one. There was a beautiful lady in my team who I actually met during that quiz. She had a relative whom I'm getting married to. So the marriage couldn't have happened unless the quiz wasn't there. So I want you. So I want you to do the kiss because there are a lot of people.
Mr. Jayakar, I hope he's not cursing now.
I have.
That is the next
that's a
question
good
on the quiz.
Yeah, but the point is it can do wonders, right? So yeah. So that with that I end with a nice a good thing which happened to quizzing. Thanks everybody for the invitation.
And thank you everyone for listening.
Fantastic.
Quizzing is an attitude. Don't give up because it keeps you young and engaged, and most importantly, it keeps you smiling and wondering about what to learn. Thank you so much.